This is a brand new day. I have my blue hair. I'm looking amazing today, obviously. I decided not to do Fortnite. I did not want to do Fortnite. I'm going to turn this up a bit. Because I was rewatching the stream yesterday to see how audio was, and you can never really hear my gameplay audio, which I think sucks. So I'm actually going to turn that up a bit. Cool. So I don't know how that's going to sound now. But today we are not playing Fortnite. This is a blind playthrough of the Stanley Parable. I've had this game for a while, I've never actually played it, so I want to see what it's like. So we are going to get into this, and it's going to be good. I know it's something like, it's a game.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Yes.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427.
Oh, okay.
Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard.
Hey,
Orders
me.
came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year.
So
And although
perfect job.
others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
I'm happy. I'm happy to be Stanley.
And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Is this me? It's me.
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure.
Okay,
What if he
sure.
had to make a decision? What if a crucial
Alright,
outcome
understand.
fell
Sorry, I need my mouse sensitivity. Gotta turn that up a bit.
under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go any way except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it comes.
Was that it? That was all the moving I got to do? Cool, great game. I love it. Oh look, a door! The door is open! Hello, world, it's me.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
It's a bank
Stanley
holiday.
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Okay, I'd switch that off. Can I switch it back on? No? Alright, cool. Hello? I don't know where I'm going. Is this the workroom? No. Guess I'm just following the open doors.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Did I? Oh, that's weird, because I'm pretty sure I see myself going to the one in the right. You know?
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Yeah, dude. See? I'm admiring everything. See?
Ah, yes. Truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Yep. So, can I get a drink? Any drink? Any drink at all? No? What does that say?
Yes. Really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings.
Shut up!
Really
I'm looking
worth
at a
it.
coffee mug that says coffee nut, okay? Fuck you!
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Did I? No, that's weird. Because I see myself going in this door here.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Yeah, I know, right? This just looks more interesting, dude. See, look at this. Is this not fun, Mr. Director dude? See, we're even gonna go across.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
Who's her?
This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself.
Is it?
To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
But who is her? I want to know who her is, and I'm not moving from this spot so I know who she is. Fuck you. Alright, we're moving. Hello.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
Sure, why not? It's a phone. It's not going to kill me, is it? Is it?
Oh, Stanley, is that you?
Oh.
Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Let's just take a moment about how this guy knows everything about my life. About how I'm never gonna, meet go, He knows, hey CJ, how he knows, I'm not gonna have a loving wife, that I'm on my keyboard just pressing buttons all day, how my name's Stanley. Don't know how he knows all this.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow.
Yep.
He has a job that demands nothing of him.
Yep.
And every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
This guy's got me on point.
But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful, and each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
Cool.
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
The thought excited him terribly.
It excited me? Damn, I must be pretty sad.
So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
Cool.
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
I have a kid?
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has.
No,
nothing has changed.
No, I haven't.
The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets. The more he forgets which
Where's my
life is the real one.
To go to sleep, sure.
And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Is that 0?
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
To question nothing.
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well,
So why
maybe
are you
this
here?
time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again.
Please die.
And Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again.
Oh god.
And Stanley pushed a button.
Thank you, Chatter, for the 10 bits. It means a lot. Means a lot, dude. Hey, Dark. I really like the blue hair. Cheers, bud. I really like it as well. I think it looks nice. Alright. And we're back! I want to press more buttons! Yes! Alright. So, we're doing this again.
All of his co-workers were gone.
No, shut up.
What could it mean?
I know where they've gone.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
Yeah.
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Yeah, that's where I'm going. We're going to the meeting room. Now, I went
When
to
Stanley
right
came to a
last
set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Yeah, I did. No, I went right last time, so we are going to go left this time. See, we went left. Hello!
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
I want to get mine dyed silver now. I have an obsession, I'm not going to lie. Do what you think is good, because I've wanted my hair to be done blue for a while now. This is only highlights, as you can see. It's not all blue. Like, my hair is still basically dark brown black. I guess in the light it does look blue. But I really like it. I really like how my hair is like this and everything. I've only just got it done today, but I really like it. I don't know if I'm going to keep doing it. The thing about highlights is that it hurts because they like yank your hair through these this like swim net hair thing, and it hurts. It really does. It's painful, but you know, at the end of the day, I think it's worth it. I really like my hair like this. So, all right, targets. Push for funding for R&D of new coffee machine. Standard graphs. Alright, that's not cost efficient. Get Chris out of the broom closet. Cool. Hire someone to synergize papers. Cool. Papers are too synergized. Fire paper guy. Hire somebody to fire the paper synergizing guy. Who moved my desk? Please keep the targets on the topic. The future was yesterday, tomorrow is now. Tomorrow, complete today's unfinished agenda items. Right next agenda, reflect. Employees 417, 405, 491, 416, 431, Jim. I was reading that. Using slides to assure employees that everything is okay. Make sure your slide has a slick blue graphic in the header. I was reading that. Everyone is unique. You most of all. Thank you. Thank you. There's stuff here. What do people want? Things. Things. We all want things. Money. More money. Things, but with money to buy more things. Graphs. Graphs about money and things. We have our new product. It's money and things, guys. I told my mom I wanted to dye my hair brown, but silver is probably going to be my choice. I've seen it on people and it's so nice. See, I went with the colour that I think would look best in my hair, which to me was blue. I would dye my whole hair pink for charity, but like I'm not that popular to be doing like charity stuff yet. So bi-quarterly post-review. Teenagers, size of demographic, space between the teenagers, a lot of percentage. We need reviews. We need less reviews. 402 and 405 want to get rid of the deaf sports portion in the primary review schedule, but I think that's a stupid idea. More water coolers, more water cooler heaters. Charts need to be more hip to appeal to teenage demographic. Find teenagers to put in teenage demographic. Big net. Some sort of child trap. Work harder, hard worker. Throw something in the ideas bin. 10? No more bins. Trash cans. 20 remaining. Okay, cool. What's this? To do. Synergize core value. Expenditures, I think. Shift global market parade, I think. Monetize free to play. Cool. Fucking Jim. Yeah. No one likes Jim. Alright. Now, where are we going?
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
I did? Well, that's funny, because I see myself going down the stairs. See? Going. Now we're going to go up. We're going to go up to the boss's office. We're going to listen to him this time. This is the boss's office? What a cup, dude! That was weird. What a cuck, man. Why is the boss's office so much...
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life.
Right.
Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck.
Yeah,
Amazing.
by sheer luck. Wait,
He
what was that?
stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Hell yeah. Hello?
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Okay.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
I did, but now I'm thinking red light. Red light's never good. So I don't... Could I mind control myself to escape? Let's go to the mind control facility. Sounds like fun. Hello?
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Nope. I'm going away. Goodbye. I want to go and escape now. Bitch, I see you watching me. See? I see ya. I see ya. You see me. I see ya. Alright, cool. I really hope I just fall to a death.
Now the monitors jumped to life.
Fire!
Their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building. Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen. And Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
So which one's the one I'm in? Which one's mine? 4, 2... That's mine! That one's mine. That's my office. Look at that right there. That's my office.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Everyone figured it out before me? Damn, dude.
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
That's not what I'm thinking at all. I wanna turn this thing back on. I want to control humans. Let me do it. I want to do it. Two, 1. I don't know where I'm going. Am I going over there? Five.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
I did?
Oh, Stanley. You didn't just activate the controls, did you?
Of course I did. I
After
wanna
they kept you
control
enslaved
humans.
all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode, eliminating the entire complex.
Sick.
How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it.
I know, right?
Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start.
I know, right?
What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much.
Same.
You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not?
Oh, cheers, bud.
These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees.
Yep.
Oh, dear me. What's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now?
Yep, basically.
Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen
Shut
to
up!
screen, clicking
Dude!
on every little thing
Fuck
in this
you!
room.
Fuck
These
you,
numbered
man!
buttons. No, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button. Or this door.
Dude, fuck
Everything,
this
anything,
guy!
Something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea
Dude.
what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're
guy's
in
a
for quite a
dick. He
disappointment.
knows what I'm doing,
But
dude.
here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't.
You
Take a look at the clock,
No!
Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing.
Whee!
No ending here. Just you being blown to
Yay!
pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life? Or will you let it go peacefully?
look, a button.
Another choice. Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same.
What'd that do?
All a part of the joke.
Don't do
and
it,
believe
you know,
me,
I don't know what
I
I've
will
done.
be laughing
We
at
did!
every second of your inevitable
did!
life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever up.
Stanley was a good man. He had a wife. He had kids. But no one ever loved him. Hey, look, I'm back. What happened? No, it was just a bad dream. That's all it was. Just a bad dream.
All of his co-workers were gone.
No,
What could it
no,
mean?
no, they weren't. Why are you saying-
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
No. No, nothing's wrong. What are you talking about?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his
Yeah,
left.
we're going left. Yeah. But fuck you, we're going downstairs. We've been in here.
Yet there was not a single person here either.
Nope, no,
Feeling a
there
wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
No, I didn't. You liar. Hey look, red. I like it. Why is it always red everywhere?
But Stanley
Why is
just
that car?
couldn't do it. He considered the possibility
car
of
here?
facing his boss,
It's been
admitting
used.
he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy.
Soda!
And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down?
That's a good point.
Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar.
Shut
Were they
up.
simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming! He yelled.
I'm
this
dreaming!
is all a dream!
No, I said that before.
What a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground.
I'm flying!
Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical star field, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Am I? Fuck, dude.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be.
I must be real!
Who am I? Who am I? and everything went black.
Oh, cool.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
No, it isn't. It's about a man named Stanley.
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Well, that didn't make it seem like she was the killer or something. Was that it? Am I just dead? Alright. Hey, look, I'm back. I'm not dead anymore.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
It starts the same way. I don't remember this corridor. This is a different corridor, right? I'm not crazy, am I? That's a different corridor.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Fuck you, bitch.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
Oh,
Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Yep, we're going back to admire everything.
Wow. Yes.
Wow.
This room. But eager to get
Shut
back
up.
to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Yeah, no,
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
going down. Interesting.
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left.
So I can't even...
Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake. No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking?
What was
It's
you
clearly...
thinking?
Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
That's neither left nor right. What? Why are these on? These shouldn't be on unless someone's driving, bitch. Oh, look. Where are we?
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to,
Well,
who am
back
I
here.
kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay.
Really?
From
That's
the
it?
top.
Wow. Really? That was it?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
That was it.
Stanley
for that part.
decided to go to the
Damn it.
meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
I like how my mouse keeps like turning on its own.
When Stanley... Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere, or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
So, I can choose any direction. Any direction. Just upset. It's a maze. Hello.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again?
No.
Well, I find it
no,
unlikely that
we're
we'll ever
fine.
progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
No. Fuck.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Yeah.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
See, why are those doors open now? What is this?
Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
So what, I'm going back? Sweet. Going back, going back, going back, going back, going back.
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes. No, wait. Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
That's a great idea.
Now this... Well, I'll be honest. I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations!
Yeah! Woo!
I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
Okay, cool. The Stanley Parable Adventure line.
All right,
kidding me?
I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley
He's got a
Parable
line.
Adventure line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
He's got a line. Well, this is already wrong. Following the
You see,
line.
the line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny.
Yeah.
Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a
I don't
story?
think-
Simply by the act of moving forward.
I really thought I was walking
implying
on the
a
wall
journey
then.
such
I was
that
like,
a
what?
destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself. Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Wait, cut the music. Go back and look at that fern. Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
Excuse me? Okay.
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell? Oh, no, not again. Line, how could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you...
Now we're back
Oh,
here.
I can't take
And
this
the
anymore. To hell with it.
where it is means
Restart.
nothing. Hey Hodge, how's it going, bud? What looks good? Are you talking about my hair? Alright, the Stanley Parable Adventure Line.
You know what,
For
Stanley?
God's
I
sake!
say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us?
Well-
We're intelligent people, right? Why
You
can't
are.
we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
I like it. Yeah, let's go. Do.
Now, yes,
Yes.
this is exciting.
Yes, there
Just
we
me and Stanley forging a new path,
Yep,
a new story.
I
Well,
like
it could
it.
be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your
Yeah.
imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley,
Yeah,
I'm ready for it.
yeah. Well, I was going around in circles there for a bit, but yeah, keep going.
Oh, no, not you again.
Yeah, you're
Stanley,
back!
I'd also like to veto the line from having
Whee!
any role in our awesome new story. No
Whee!
lines or monitor rooms.
Following the
Just
line,
don't
do,
acknowledge
do,
it.
do.
We should be fine.
Following the yellow brick road, do. Following the yellow brick road, do. Following the yellow brick road. I can't get up there. Okay, well I can't get up there. Sorry.
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From
Fine.
here, the story is in our control.
Cool.
How important, we mustn't squander the opportunity.
Right.
In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. In circles for a minute.
Sit. Sweet.
Okay.
You're not the
so
yellow
I know
one, though,
that
so I'm
each
gonna go this
door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits. Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how
No,
all this
Stanley
goes?
dies. Great.
It's
Cool.
all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really... No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's
Oh, so
going
no
on.
matter what room
I
I
don't want to
went
be
in,
trapped like this.
I'll be
I
here.
won't
Yay.
restart the game. I won't do it. I won't
He
do
won't
it.
do
I
it.
won't do it.
Nope.
And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule?
Well, considering
How
I'm
would
still
we
playing the
even know?
confusion, that should
Will
still be
someone
going
come
on.
for us? Will something happen?
What do you mean us? I'm the only one here. You're just talking, dude.
So, okay.
Yeah.
I guess now
That's
we
one
just
shot.
wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story. Wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination, so I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime...
Fuck! I was just clicking and it happened. Fuck, man, that scared me.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Right, we're going.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Yeah. Deja vu.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door
This
on
is
his
in the
left.
wrong order. This is the wrong order.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
This is definitely the wrong order.
The lounge was sublime, a
You
work of
can't
art.
jump.
What was it about this? But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
I did.
And so he
Not going
detoured
down.
through the
Fuck
maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
that. Yeah, that's what I done.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Yep. Yep, I did. What is this? I didn't think I'd be able to go in here. Money in the morning, money in the evening, money for breakfast, Money crisp. Reflection. I'm scared.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody.
What could it
He
mean?
began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was
Been
caught by a
here,
keypad
done
behind the
this.
boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 28. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the
go down.
correct
Go
code
down.
by
No,
sheer
I wanna go
luck.
down.
Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
What's this way? Anything? Right, we're gonna do the proper one this time. We're gonna turn it off, not on. How have you been, Hodge? How have you been? I'm back! Hello?
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control
Or do I
Facility.
escape? What do I do? Do I go and turn it off this time, or do I escape? Oh, which do I do? Oh, I forgot that the escape was here. What do I do? I have so many options. I could go and turn that off, or I could escape. I wanna escape. I wanna escape, dude. I wanna really go. We're gonna go. We're gonna escape.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Okay.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Okay. I was wondering what was going to happen. Whee! Am I dead? Am I dead? No, not yet. I'm alive!
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence
Is that
whatsoever.
actually just what's happening?
Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Yay! You aren't gonna get me!
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
No! You liar! Lay. Stanley. Horrible, Stanley.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
Why, heaven?
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Oh damn, I'm dead. Shit, dude. I'm dead. Dude, I'm apparently dead. The pacing of this opening section was important to get right. This corridor has been moved and altered to make sure the player reaches the two doors in a good time. The two doors, the set of two open doors was the very first concrete piece of the Stanley's parable design. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, what am I doing? The credits! That can't be it. You're lying to— oh wait, what's that? Yeah, the 431, 436 exhibit. I like it. Oh yeah, there we go. Warzone. Early in development, we designed an ending where Stanley would end up on a battlefield fighting aliens. The action game would become sentient and would wage war against the narrator. We realized shortly after starting to build it that it was far too jokey and on the nose for the tone of the game. Plus, some people interrupted it as making fun of people who like shooters, which was not our intention. I think that would have been cool. Personally, I think that would have been really cool. Am I going crazy? Maybe it isn't the same image. What was that clock there before? I don't remember. How do I go back? Can you check for me? More endings, fewer endings, more narrators, fewer narrators, more Stanley, less Stanley. These are screenshots of the Stanley Parable HD Remix. The point of the Stanley Parable HD Remix is to win. The point of the Stanley is to lose. Okay. The Office. The Apartment Timer. I thought something was going to happen when it hit 0. I just saw it counting down and was like, exit?
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No,
Who are
perhaps
you?
not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen.
But who are you?
But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let time
What about the plant? I don't know, there was something to do with the plant. Oh, is that it? Oh, can I, is that literally just it? Is it just a black screen now? Oh. I killed both of them. Whoops. Is that it? Oh my god, that's it. I was actually waiting for it to just go back and be like, and here's Stanley again. And I'm just like, okay. Huh. If that's the entire game, wow. I wasn't wanting to press quit. I was letting the girl like finish talking, you know, and then bang, I'm dead. Have you tried the new 50 vs 50 on Fortnite? Yeah, I've played 50 vs 50. I won the first game that I played and got 10 kills in it. Don't know how, but I killed 10 out of 50 people. Pretty good. But yeah, considering this is done, I don't mind actually playing a bit of Fortnite if you want to try some of that 50-50 mode. So yeah. Well, I'll probably upload this to YouTube. That was fun. That was interesting. I don't know how or what happened, but you know, that cool. Cool. Stanley died, the narrator died, everyone died. So, you know, whatever. So, I'm just going to stop streaming because it makes it easier for me because this will be up on YouTube. So, if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe, please leave a like, and if you want more, you know, just keep coming back. I hope you guys enjoyed, but I'm going to move on to Fortnite. I'm going to stop the stream and restart the stream with Fortnite just because it makes it easier for me. And yeah, alright, so I'll be back in about 5 minutes with some Fortnite.